What's up, guys? Here's my video installing and doing fit checks with the Vessel Power Sports floorboards. Their new floorboards are really sweet. They're by far my favorite ones out there. I have to remove a lot of these when I do gear reductions. I can tell you that these are the easiest ones to install, and they also feel the most solid. I don't think you're going to have any issues cracking the supports where they mount to your factory frame like I've seen with some other floorboards. So really sweet. If you want to save some money on these, promo code on the screen right there, MUDPUPPY10, give you 10% off anything at Vessel Power Sports. And just to give you a little inside information, Vessel Power Sports is probably going to be dropping the new 32 Aztec XX for me. We'll put some more information out next week when that's going to be, what the price is going to be. But yeah, keep it on the Tarachi Facebook page and Vessel Power Sports Facebook pages for details on the 32XX. These are the 33 Aztecs I typically run on my Foreman 500. That's what I've been running for a while. When I do deep water and things like that, I like the 33. It sticks to the bottom good because it's an 18-inch wheel, low float. In order to clear those, I had to do some floorboard mods involving some hammering. Now you can see that the tire still rubs occasionally there, and it's kind of annoying. In order to run them, I have to run them at 0 PSI, otherwise they rub a lot. So I got a box right here from Vessel Power Sports. They just sent me their new floorboards. We're going to test them out. We're going to see how much clearance I have with the 33 Aztecs. Hopefully I can run about 5 PSI in them, get more ground clearance. And then we're going to see if we can stuff the 35 Aztecs on there. Now I know those have to be run at 0 PSI. Those are really freaking tall. But it'll be interesting. The way their floorboards mount, you don't have a round tube here. You have a support that comes here flat and then kind of curves back, and it's a flat bar. It's a kind of angle iron. Also, you see how these floorboards are kind of bent, very flimsy from Honda. The Vessel really beefed it up. They used some thicker metal, and I think it's going to work great. I'm not going to do a full install video. Caleb already has a great video on the Vessel Power Sports page. Check that out if you need help. Basically, I'm just going to throw them on, and then we're going to do some tire swapping, and I'm going to show you the clearance. One thing to note, this thing does have the Tarachi stretch lift kit on it, so it's got a bracket lift up top. I also have some small spring spacers up front and the rear, Tarachi stretch, Tarachi drive shaft, and shock extension. So this thing has a little more clearance than a stock machine does right now because of the stretch in the rear. I know I won't have any rear rubbing. The front is what's going to be kind of close. Laid out to try to figure out what goes where. Very obvious. If you can look at how this fits right here, you can tell I'm going to get a bunch more tire clearance up in this area, and that's where my 33s are rubbing. So it's totally going to fix that issue. I really like these pegs they included. Keep your foot from sliding off, but they're not sharp like the OEM ones. They're aluminum, nice and smooth. That's a really sweet peg. They also gave me these peg deletes, which are going to be great because the Tarachi Rubicon has no pegs on it, and it looks a little sloppy. So those are going to go on there. But I'm going to leave the pegs on this one because it doesn't ride quite as smooth, and I race this one a little bit, and having the pegs is nice. Just looking at how everything kind of bolts together, really sweet. I like how this kind of is 3D. I don't know if that's bonded on there, but it's cool. Everything's aluminum except for this mount and this mount. You can see how nice and thick the steel is. A lot of these that I see fail, it's where the floorboard bolts up right here. This piece right here is all one piece aluminum and it cracks. Having this piece made out of steel is going to be really, really nice. All right, the old magnet test. Aluminum, aluminum, steel, aluminum, steel. Okay, good. That is awesome. By the way, I have the Vessel headlights on this thing still. They've been working great. Here's the hardware. It's got these nice 3D printed rubber bushings to protect your plastics. Lots of bolts and nuts. And yeah, let's just throw it all together. Of course, like any package from Vessel Power Sports, you get a lot of goodies. I got a koozie in here, a nice fresh lanyard, which I need because mine's looking kind of nasty. We got a new type of devil duck, I guess, and some stickers. I got one side on. It's not bolted to the machine. It's just sitting on there. Left everything loose until I get every single bolt in. Then I go through and tighten it down. As you can see, huge increase in tire clearance. I think I'll be able to run 35s. I have a lot of experience with these floorboards. Every time I do a gear reduction for someone, I have to remove their floorboards. The reason I never run them on my machines until now is because they're usually a real pain in the ass. They don't fit quite right. You got like fold the fenders and stuff. Look how well all this stuff lines up. I mean, it's butter. I mean, this is a really easy install, and because it's bolted together, you have a little bit of room to shift it around and get everything lined up properly. I think they're going to be really sweet. Also, like I said, I've seen a ton of them crack right here and right here, so I've been hesitant to run them on my machines, but it looks like Vessel fixed all those issues. So pretty excited about these. Yes, of course, I got these for free. I have to say that. But of all the ones I've messed with, these are the sweetest. All right, here's them all installed. They feel very solid. A couple tips. Make sure you tighten the heck out of these fasteners down here. you have to actually fold this thick piece of steel in a little bit so it pinches, and if you don't do that, it won't feel nearly as solid. These need to be nice and tight too, as well as these two. Those are like your 6 fasteners that are really structural. The rest of them are kind of just holding these guards and supporting plastics. But if you get those nice and tight, this is the most solid floorboard I've ever installed by far. Super sweet. I might go ahead and retorque everything after the first ride just as everything breaks in. I like to jump on my floorboards a lot. I stand right here on this corner and bounce, so that's going to be really nice. But yeah, tire clearance is huge. Now let's throw on a 35 and see how that looks. All right, 35s, no portals. And the craziest thing is with these Vessel floorboards, no rubbing. These tires have 5 or 6 PSI in them, and they're still not rubbing the floorboards at full lock. What? What? I mean, it's close, but they're not rubbing. So to make this happen, I did just put new tie rod ends, new ball joints, new bearings. I do have the Tarachi stretch, Tarachi HD drive shaft, Tarachi HD U-joint, and the Vessel floorboards. I had to trim under the headlights a good bit here for my 33s, so these are probably going to rub occasionally there. I just maxed out the shock preload. These are 6.5 wide wheels, 4 plus 2.5, so they're pretty sucked in. I have the Tarachi wheel spacers on there, front and rear. The rear has those big, thick boys. Yeah, let's get the backs on and see how it looks, but pretty hilarious. I might have to trim a little more here up to my Vessel lights. But yeah, that is nuts. All right, there she is. 35 Aztecs on the Tarachi Foreman. This build was sponsored by Tarachi and Vessel Power Sports. These are 35 Aztecs. And as far as the mods on this thing to make this work and make them clear, the biggest thing to make them clear is the Tarachi swing arm stretch and the Vessel Power Sports floorboards. These are their new floorboards. I just realized I left a nut off. These are their new floorboards that just came out. I got one of the first sets, and they are sweet. They really maximize the tire clearance. I can go to full lock with no rubbing on these 35s, and they've still got air in them. I'll probably air them down for hog waller this weekend, but man, it looks freaking mean.